And we come now to 0 hour 30 Universal Time. In the news at this hour, the militant group Hezbollah says it has shot down an Israeli military helicopter in southern Lebanon. An Israeli army spokeswoman confirmed the attack. She provided no further information. Earlier on Saturday, Israel expanded its offensive further into southern Lebanon. Reports say Israeli military vehicles have reached the Litani River. Israel says it has about 30,000 soldiers in Lebanon. Israeli military officials say they are trying to push Hezbollah beyond the Litani River before a ceasefire is declared. Reports say a ceasefire might start on Monday. The prime ministers of Israel and Lebanon have agreed to a ceasefire beginning early Monday. United Nations Secretary General Kofi Annan announced the agreement. Earlier, Lebanon approved the UN Security Council resolution aimed at ending the fighting. Lebanese Prime Minister Fouad Seniora says all of his cabinet officials approved the measure. Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert is expected to urge his cabinet to approve the measure when the cabinet meets on Sunday. Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah has also confirmed that his forces will honor the UN ceasefire, but he says Hezbollah will continue fighting as long as Israeli troops are in Lebanon. Officials in Britain and Pakistan are studying the actions of two brothers as they investigate a plot to explode airplanes. Pakistani officials have arrested one of them, Rashid Rauf. They say he has links to Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan. The other brother, Tayyib Rauf, is among 23 Britons of Pakistani ancestry who were arrested on Thursday in Britain. British and Pakistani officials say the plan was to use liquid explosives to destroy as many as 10 passenger planes. British agents say police arrested the suspects after someone in Pakistan called plotters in Britain and urged them to carry out their plan immediately. Officials in Iraq say at least 20 people were killed in attacks across the country on Saturday. The victims include 2 United States soldiers and an Iraqi police officer in Baquba. The United States ambassador to Iraq has accused Iran of pressing Iraqi Shiite militants to increase attacks against American-led forces. Zalmay Khalilzad says the move is in reaction to the Israeli actions in Lebanon. Mr. Khalilzad's statements were published in the New York Times newspaper. Also, the United States military says its troops captured 60 suspected terrorists in a majority Sunni area of Baghdad on Friday. You are listening to the news in VOA Special English. A researcher in China says the current difference in the number of girls and boys born may make it impossible for men to find wives in the future. China's state news agency reported the statements of Professor Mu Guangzhong of the Beijing University Population Research Group. He says 25 million men might fail to have wives by the year 2020 if the current imbalance continues. Chinese law restricts parents in towns and cities to only one child. Most families want boys, not girls. There are 119 boys born for every 100 girls. In June, Chinese lawmakers decided not to ban the practice of ending pregnancies because of the sex of the fetus. Sri Lankan officials say gunmen have killed a top government official involved in peace efforts with Tamil rebels. Katish Loganathan was killed on Saturday at his home near Colombo. Reports also say fighting has increased between the Sri Lankan military and Tamil Tiger rebels. Some of the worst clashes were in the northern Jaffna area. The rebels say their fighters are moving forward and have destroyed army positions. The military denies the rebel claims. The president of Venezuela, Hugo Chavez, officially has become a candidate for the presidential elections in December. Tens of thousands of people gathered in Caracas to support him. Recent opinion studies show that more than half the voters would vote for Mr. Chavez. The studies show that about 20% of the voters support the other presidential candidate, Manuel Rosales. And Cuba's state-owned newspaper says President Fidel Castro now can walk around his hospital room and do some work. Mr. Castro had a medical operation 2 weeks ago to stop intestinal bleeding. He has not appeared in public since then. The president gave temporary power to his brother, Raul Castro, just before the operation. Fidel Castro will be 80 years old on Sunday. He asked that official birthday celebrations be postponed until December 2nd. That is the 50th anniversary of Cuba's Revolutionary Armed Forces. And so, briefly now, here again is the major news of this hour. Hezbollah says it has shot down an Israeli military helicopter in southern Lebanon. UN Secretary-General Kofi Annan says the prime ministers of Israel and Lebanon have agreed to a ceasefire that will start early Monday. And in Iraq, officials say at least 22 people were killed in attacks across the country on Saturday. So ends the news in VOA Special English.